Hi, everyone, and welcome to Spotlight in Business for GTApreneurs. I'm your host, Tammy Defoe, President, Business Coach, and Public Speaking Instructor for GTApreneurs. And I'm so happy to have with me today Allan Pollett, known as the SEO Guru. He is the CEO of Global Net Trade, and he will be the next guest speaker for our January 12th Open Networking event. If you haven't already registered, we're going to put the link below to register. So you definitely want to be there. He's going to give us lots of great tips on SEO. And without further ado, Allan, nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And great. Yeah. So please tell us more about yourself.
I actually got started in this industry back in 1998. And it actually didn't exist. It was one of those industries that didn't exist. And I was kind of one of the pioneers of the industry. So I was kind of coming up with crazy strategies to sort of dominate the search engines of that era. This is sort of the pre-Google times. I saw it as such a great opportunity because everything was going online. It was like sort of that time period where, it was the Wild West, and, you could try kind of crazy new things, and you could do stuff that would promote your business. And the great thing that really inspired me about the whole online world was that it was free. This concept of freeness, that you could basically, build your website, and then you could put it up on the search engines, and you could get all this people coming to you without having to pay for that. Like traditionally, you have to put a newspaper ad out or something like that, right? But this was all free business. And as long as you could figure out the algorithm, it was free business. There was sort of that mentality, build it and they will come. But most often that actually didn't work. You had to sort of understand the computer logic and how they get you ranked, and how to get that traffic to come to your website. And for some reason, that was my forte. I don't know why, but I kind of was very insightful into that. And I really understood how to build sites that would cater to what the search engines loved. And that was kind of my entry into the whole industry.
You know what? Free sounds nice, but it's free if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So just because you're a genius, because honestly, the average person, probably they cannot do their own coding. I cannot do coding. I do a lot of stuff, but yeah. So tell us more about this special talent of yours you had. I know this, you mentioned a four-leaf clover.
Do you want me to tell the four-leaf clover story?
Please. Yes. Please.
Okay. So this is like the story that I always tell. And it's like, I feel embarrassed telling it. Like, it's like my kids are like, oh no, not the four-leaf clover story. But what happens is, like, whenever I go out for a walk, I will, you see a patch of clover, and I will just see, for some reason, I just see instantly the four-leaf clovers, and I'll pick them. So we'll just go for a little walk, and I'll come home with like a bunch of four-leaf clovers in my pockets. Well, the same applies to the way I see the search engines. So when I look at a website, or I look at the search engine rankings, I'll sort of see the four-leaf clovers. I'll see, why did that site rank? What did they do? And I'll see, I don't know why, I just see the algorithm at play in the rankings. And so for me, I just say, okay, well, they want this, I'll give them that. And then I just plug it in terms of the way the site is designed. And so when I do like these kind of conferences and like education things, and with my clients, basically what I try to teach them is how to find the four-leaf clovers and take advantage of those insights that I see. So that's my four-leaf clover story again.
That's awesome. You know what? I've tried this trick, right? And I go to the clover patch because, I think myself, a lot of people think that, it's just one of these things where does it really exist, the four-leaf clover? Or is it just a myth that it actually exists? Because I can look a bunch of clovers and I cannot find a four-leaf clover, and I can search for a while, actually. So this is just an amazing gift you have, and it's helped so many clients, to get ranked very well in Google.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the full range of services that you offer?
How many days do we have?
I know, not that long. Bullet points.
But yeah, so just quickly, I personally do SEO, but I also do business strategy. and consulting. But like my business is actually pretty big. It's about 20 people that work for me. We do web development, app development. We even have our own proprietary search engine technology. So we can actually build Google. Like we have that. And we have like a whole bunch of things. I actually will help companies strategize on how to build unique technologies to the internet. And we do pretty much anything you can imagine online. So marketing, like of all sorts, like social media marketing, YouTube marketing, Google marketing, AdWords marketing, like pretty much anything you can imagine. So that's a short answer, but like I could give you literally days worth of answers for that. So
Can you tell us about some successes you had with your clients?
Yeah. So my clients, it's like one of my first entries into this whole space was through real estate. I actually did an art website, and it was mentioned in a whole bunch of publications. And a real estate agent said, hey, they reached out to me and said, hey, can you do this for my real estate business? And I was like, hey, sure. It's just another keyword to me. Like it doesn't really matter. Once you know the pattern, it doesn't really matter the word. I can optimize in any language because it's the same patterns. So he reached out to me, and I said, yeah, sure. I got him #1 ranked within a few months for the keyword Toronto real estate. And he generated about $100 million worth of sales in the first year. So not too bad. And then we expanded the business to all of North America. And we were generating it was really me. I generated about $200 million worth of real estate leads. Now a lead, obviously the number sounds great, but a lead is like, a couple $100,000 at that time. That was back many years ago. So a house was generally around 200,000. So I would generate just hundreds of leads every day for the real estate agents that I sort of gotten under my umbrella. So we were generating massive amounts of sales. But yeah, that was kind of one of my biggest businesses. But in terms of mom and pop, I've helped companies go from being really a mom and pop kind of business to being like a multi-million-dollar business per month kind of level. So, like there was one where it was like a small limo company, and they had one limo. that was their company. They had one limo. They would literally be the driver, the receptionist, everything. By the end, they had a fleet of limos, and they were doing like a TIFF and all these big things. They were like the limo company that the celebrities would always choose. So it was really cool and it was all based on SEO, obvious things that were really obvious to me in SEO. Like I always sort of take the approach, go for the low hanging fruit first. So I'd had them ranking for the keyword like Toronto limo services or something really like a long tail keyword. And then I got them ranking for the word Toronto limo. And then over time, I had them #3 in the world for the word limo. So it was just one of those things, you build up to it, right? And as they kept on getting so much business that they just had to keep on expanding their business. If they were better, it was one of those clients that I always kind of a little bit sad about in a way, because I actually expanded their business too fast, and that actually killed them because they got involved with bad partners. But it was one of those businesses that could have been really good. It was really good, and then fell apart. So I don't usually have that awesome of a success with clients where they go to that level, but I do try to make it so that my clients are successful, because my philosophy is that my client's success is my success. It's one of those things, like if I can't make them successful, then they're not going to hire me, and I'm going to go to business. And I've been doing this business for like 20 plus years now, and I'm only as good as my results. So and that's the only way I can stay in business, is to provide good results for my clients. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
For sure. That's awesome. And, people may know, I've may have told some people before that Allan's, work, his advice has also helped me get GTApreneurs website on the first page of Google. So very happy about that. People out there may have found us from Google, and it works, right? There's only so many hours in the day that you can be going out there and contacting other people. So why not just have your website come up and have people contact you, right?
Yeah.
It's totally
Easiest
worth
way.
Exactly. It's totally worth the investment. You have to think about if you're doing, because first of all, if you don't have SEO training, you can't do it yourself. First of all, it's going to be really difficult, right? But then even if you had all the training, the amount of time you had to put into it to do it compared to having someone do it for you, you know what? Just rather have someone do it for me. Right?
It is a full-time job to do it well.
Yep, it is. Right. So now you and your team, you have you've got the system mastered, right, where you can do it. And that, and that's fantastic. And for our topic for the event next time is going to be, SEO versus kind of Google Ads sort of thing. A lot of people have questions. Should I pay for Google Ads? And how does it work? Is it effective, right? And is that better because Google Ads, you can get them right away, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the great thing. People love that instant gratification. Oh, I got instant rankings. But you're paying for it. You pay for that. You pay for that. And it's very expensive. And people don't realize how, it can really drain you. And it's one of those things where you don't realize how, I actually teach a whole seminar on Google AdWords. And I was teaching people really that there's a bit of a joke within it, that you look at sex. Okay. So the keyword sex is is one of the kind of fundamental keywords. It sounds weird, but it's the most commonly searched thing on the internet. And it's one of those keywords that if you look at the ad cost for the word sex, it's actually really cheap. You can actually, advertise on that keyword really cheap. And the reason is the industry is so savvy that they've really learned what keywords should cost and how much business can be generated from it. So if a keyword doesn't work, then why spend money on it? Okay. And so they're really savvy when it comes to those keywords. And what happens is with general people, when they go into Google AdWords, they end up not having that savviness and they will spend a lot and not generate, you can spend $200 on ads and generate $50 worth of business,
or zero.
Or zero.
Yeah.
That's my point. So that's why when I teach AdWords, I show this one example because it really shows you how much that keyword's really worth. It's really not worth that much. And if you're spending on it, you're going to get killed. That's why SEO is so much more efficient way of, spending your money. On average, you're spending $1 per keyword on Google. With SEO, maybe you're spending 5 to 10 cents in terms of how much money you have to put in to get the rankings to achieve that traffic. So it's just so much more affordable. But it's one of those things where it's a long-term approach rather than that short-term quick fix. Oh, I'm top of the rankings. You may be paying $50 a click, but you're at the top of the rankings. That's what can happen with Google AdWords. I had one client where they were spending $200 a click. It was just insane. But
what on earth was that keyword, Allan?
It's a personal injury law related keyword. Really, just gonna be really crazy expensive.
Yeah. And some people wonder that would your competitor click on the ads? And can they do that multiple times? They
can't. They can't. Okay. They only count once, but they use a bunch of different computers. They can still do it. It does happen. It's and there's a whole bunch of other issues with Google AdWords. Actually, you're probably only getting 60% of your actual spend. It's kind of like a dark secret about the way AdWords works, where a lot of the spend isn't really your potential customers. It's actually this kind of bogus traffic, or what'll happen is even you'll get like spam from India or like other countries where they say, oh, they're spending on AdWords, we can advertise them, we can target them for other things. And I've seen that a lot, where you waste a lot of your spend on just like these non-useful clicks is what I would call it.
So now, yeah. So I mean, like, is it because some people might want to say, okay, let me do SEO. It's a long-term approach, but I want to get some, leads right away. So then, would you manage that for them, like in the beginning, if they wanted to do some ads until their SEO gets up higher?
Yeah. So as I said, I do AdWords for clients. It's one of those things that a lot of clients do need that business right at the beginning. So what I always try to do is do AdWords in such a way that we keep the costs down, and then we gradually wean off that budget in terms of moving it to where it can go to SEO and be more productive. But you got to kind of find where you should spend. I mean, sometimes you stick with AdWords. I've had clients where I said, hey, stick with the AdWords. As long as they're performing in terms of that return on investment. You got to really see what that return on investment is. But that's one of those things. You actually need a proper AdWords manager to do that. And generally, when you get to that level, you're spending a few $1,000s per month on AdWords. Like I had one client, they were spending $50,000 a month on AdWords. So
50,000?
50,000.
They sell gold houses?
They were doing something almost more valuable than that. It's dental implants. That's a big industry.
Wow.
Yeah, they were in Singapore of all places. So, but yeah, it's one of those things where, if there's money there, sure, do it. But usually what I try to do is wean them off, use it as a way to get that initial traffic, bit of brand recognition, and then gradually shift over to SEO. Once the rankings, usually with rankings kind of kick in after a few months, you can get pretty good rankings.
Yeah, that's awesome, right? So I'm really looking forward to having you next Wednesday at our event. And, you teaching everyone else more. I know everyone's going to have lots of questions about Google Ads, SEO. What is, some people don't even know what SEO is. Isn't that right? And, you need to know actually, right? And yeah, so looking forward to having you there and telling everybody about it. So you have a great night, Allan. Thanks again so much for coming today.